धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः.
So Krishna is clarity, clarity is Krishna. This is kind of an entry of Krishna, with the second chapter. And so second chapter starts with Sanjay watch. Sanjay describes how Arjun is now kind of, his teary eyes. Tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashru purna kulekshanam. So ashru means tears. So his eyes are teary. He's kind of, we already saw how he was trembling and he couldn't hold on to his weapons. So the whole emotion is real. It's not like looking back, it looks like, yeah, it may have happened and it's not trivial. It is important, not that important. But I think when the emotion happens, it is really intense. Right or wrong, he was totally into it, his heart. So this is, just think of, not think of the Kurukshetra war, but just think that, get into the heart of Arjun and how he's feeling at the moment. And Krishna enters, but he has been waiting. He's been waiting. He has patience. He's not rushing into kind of curing Arjun immediately, or what will happen if Arjun doesn't fight. He's not worried. He's still very calm and collected. And that's all because I feel that it's all because Krishna is very clear about everything around him. He's got clarity of purpose, he has clarity of goal, he has clarity of thoughts, and he's very clear about actions, what actions to follow and do. And that clarity, Amit, when we were students of anatomy or surgery, we had some knowledge, we read the books, but the clarity came after we really did our postgraduate training, and you did your boards, I did my FRCS. And even then, after doing certain number of years, we really became good at what we did, and the clarity set in, and we could teach others with that clarity. If you are not clear about what you are going to teach others, you can't teach others, you will confuse other people. So I think it is important to understand who Krishna is, and multiple facets of Krishna is there. And then we can understand what he is capable of teaching Arjun.
Yeah, it is important. As we talked earlier, the other part of teaching, he's a friendly teacher. He's not one who belittles you or anything, although his words are sharp.
Yeah.
But when he sees Arjun in this kind of emotionally paralyzed state, okay, he teaches with compassion.
Right.
And he brings clarity, as we will see later, because Arjun's emotion has clouded his intellect, his thought process.
Yeah.
And this despondent emotional state has stopped him to do his duty. So there comes Krishna, who has the clarity of thought, and he is a friendly teacher. And that's very, very important. When you teach anybody, it is not by belittling them, it is to uplift them. And that thing is very, very important for a teacher, that you teach with compassion, not to belittle them or to prove your authority.
I think, Amit, you made such a great point, because all across, times and ages, if you look at Krishna, he is unique. He is a friend teacher, friend leader. And that is, you don't see that. There is always, if you have a teacher and you are a student, there is always a gap. So if you look at Ram, Sri Ram, I mean, he's great. So, but the gap between him and anyone else is huge. Whereas with Krishna, you were with him. You eat with him, you play with him, you dance with him, but yet at the same time, he has got that depth of that teacher. But the teaching comes as a friend, like you and me are talking. Even though the gap is there, that gap is not obvious, and that gap is not a weight on you. And that is amongst all the teachers you can think of. I mean, Drona was a teacher for Arjun, but Drona and him, there is a gap. Every time Drona comes, Arjun shoots an arrow to his feet to do pranam. And that friendship, and I was talking to, George Manning, professor. He has written the book, Art of Leadership. And we were talking about what kind of leaders are there. And they use the word in West, caring leader. But caring leader also, there is a gap between the person they are caring and them. Friend leader is an amazing concept that Krishna brings in Gita, but in general in Mahabharata. I mean, he is friendly with Karna, he even goes to Duryodhan at the same level, but Duryodhan doesn't see that. But don't you think this friend leadership or friend teaching is an amazing concept that Krishna brings to the universe?
Actually, that was my first realization after I came to States. Okay.
Yeah.
The concept of compassionate teacher.
Yeah.
Okay. I should add compassionate and friendly teacher is a concept that we lack most of the time. Actually, if the teacher is friendly, you can express yourself fully and you can open yourself completely. Okay. The teacher can see your disadvantages and can find out which way to guide you. Right. So that passionate, friendly teacher concept is extremely important for teaching and for the students to learn.
I understand. I mean, as I said, Krishna had many facets. I mean, he can play flute, dance with, gopis, and be at war or in a war. I mean, he had fought wars with Arjun before this Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, he promised not to pick up a weapon, but this multifaceted personality that Krishna brings has a lot of kind of versatility around him.
That's true. That's very true.
And what a patience he had shown in this one, the whole first chapter, while Arjun is giving all these arguments and logic, Krishna is just listening, letting him vent or letting him express himself fully. And when he answers, he doesn't try to answer those questions and concerns because he sees through. His clarity is so much that yes, Arjun is on the wrong track at the wrong time, like you mentioned before. Uttiṣṭha Kashmalavidam Visham. I mean, where did this come from? He says to Arjun. He doesn't kind of, as you said, he can be tough, but because he's a friend, that toughness is kind of, I mean, I'm sure Arjun gets it. And he also puts the brake on Arjun's pattern of thinking, or tries to put a brake and say, where did this come from? It's not, doesn't become you.
Exactly. Actually, he uses the word durvallam, weakness of heart. From where do you become such faint-hearted person? This doesn't suit you.
Anarya means, it's not your personal, Arya means that's the clan or that Arjun was. It doesn't, belong to your kind of stature.
Actually, Arya, if I understand, it is the people on the right track. That's the etymology of the word.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's one meaning, I suppose.
Okay. It is not particularly a sect or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you are a person on the right path. You are an Arya. From where do you get this feeling?
On a level here, and you are behaving like lower, like,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly the point.
Yeah.
This faint-heartedness is bringing you down. Where does it come? And this is a pretty sharp word, but it is coming from a friendly, compassionate teacher. And that shakes up Arjun. We'll see that in...
He must have felt like, wow. I mean, I am feeling this in the heart, and Krishna is saying, doesn't become to you. And as we mentioned last time that, Arjun is in a role. So before the break comes fully, I think he will probably say more things. But, the third shloka, which is my favorite shloka, because of many things, it's not only for Arjun. I think it's for all of us at times when we become faint-hearted. And he says, Klavyam masma gamah partha naitatva yupapadyate kshudram hridaya dhaurvalyam tyaktvottishtha parantapa. And this is such a loaded verse. Klavyam, you are showing this weakness. Like in Hindi, they say what? Napunsak is the word?
That's right.
Yeah, so that's a very harsh word he uses for Arjun, who is,
You're a new person, kind of say that.
Yeah, so he's kind of telling him that, come on, I mean, where you are behaving like a kind of, very weak person, which you are not, because Arjun is a very high performance warrior. I mean, he's a hero, or he was a hero, but becomes bigger hero after Mahabharata, of course. But say that to that person in that moment, it's like when he's down in a way, and say such a strong word, there must be some implications about that. And Arjun was but that at any stage.
I think that is the importance of a friendly, compassionate teacher.
Yeah.
Such teacher can say very important, supposedly very sharp remark, but the compassion blunts it and makes it more palatable. Mm-hmm. It touches your heart and your thought, and at that point, you start realizing the mistake. So I always emphasize being a friendly, compassionate teacher, because that's the best way you can get to the student and you can direct it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that concept is very, very important.
Yeah.
Even though the words are sharp, it doesn't belittle.
Words are Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam.
Yep.
It's like weak heart as well. I mean, it's like Hridaya, he's feeling compassionate. Arjun is feeling compassionate. He thinks that he's got all this feeling for his, how can he kill these people who are so close to him, or who were so close to him? And so his heart is full of compassion, and Krishna comes and says, you're talking, you're a weak-hearted person, like a weak-hearted person. So instead of feeling his sincerity, but Arjun, Krishna can see that all this is attachment, right? Extreme attachment can cause extreme kind of feeling, right?
I think his attachment is appearing as a compassion, but in that particular context of war and all the preparatory situations and discussions before the war makes this apparent compassion and weakness.
As you said, emotions at the wrong time, a wrong emotion at wrong time. Because again, those people don't have any compassion for him. They don't, when the war comes and when they will come after him, after Arjun to kill him.
In this very subsequent verses, he says, I do not mind them killing me.
Yeah.
Okay? And what you said?
It's like instead of killing them and having a kingdom, I would rather die myself or something, So that was his kind of emotional thinking at that moment.
It may sound lofty, but
Yeah.
it is a wrong statement at a wrong time.
I know. But that the world and many parts of the world, there is full of all these stories where people have taken wrong decisions, like, because of emotions or because of some arrogance, like, this man can never defeat me, so I pardon you, go back, So you defeat them, but let them go back, only for them to come and, arrest you and be cruel to you later on in life. So I think there is a lesson here that, sometimes these emotions or arrogance in any way, the clarity of, action, clarity of thought should be there. And that's what I think Krishna brings here as well, that yes, Arjun, you can not fight her, you can, go away from here, but what will it happen after that?
Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to say this phenomenon as ego of righteousness or ego of humility.
Uh-huh. Oh,
okay.
That's a good word. Yeah.
He often used to say there are three most slippery versions of ego.
Yeah.
Okay. Ego of being the best devotee, ego of being the best knowledgeable person, and the ego of humility.
Yeah. Ego of being a benevolent king or something.
That's a manifestation of ego too.
Yeah.
And as a person, you have got some duty in a particular situation. How to solve it. Okay.
Yeah.
So this ego of righteousness and ego of this humility is a downslope. Sometimes that clouds your judgment terribly.
No, I mean, I think that's a very important word. But the next word that Krishna uses, that, leave this weakness and Uttiṣṭha Parantapa. Parantap is kind of telling Arjun that you are kind of, a big warrior and it's like winner of all or something. But Uttiṣṭha, and that Uttiṣṭha word is probably a viral word from Gita that people have used as well. And you said Vivekananda used to say from Kathopanishad similar wording.
Yes, actually, in Kathopanishad, Nachiketa was addressed, Uttiṣṭhata Yagrata Prapo Varana Nivedata. Okay. And Vivekananda used to address all the youth of India with that quotation. Yama offers him, Nachiketa, many worldly things.
Right.
Okay. Worldly comforts. But Nachiketa, as a awakened student, okay, takes up only the knowledge of Brahman, which is the
He said,
ultimate.
no, I don't want any worldly things. I want to know what is life and death. And
What is the real knowledge?
yeah,
Okay. So that Uttiṣṭha, get up and rise, that is very important.
yeah. No, I love that line. Arise, awake. That's what Uttiṣṭha means. Arise, Jagrata, awake, Prapya, get. Varan means great. Nibodhata, knowledge. So I think it's Uttiṣṭha Jagrata, or here, Uttiṣṭha Parantapa. I think it's such an important message for every, not only young person, I think for any age, don't you think? I mean,
Everybody.
sometimes we kind of,
Well, many a times when we are faced with certain duties which is unpleasant but has to be done, we get into a slumberous repose.
yeah,
Okay? And that's when this line is very, very important as Krishna is addressing Arjun. Get up. You are meant for great job. Okay? This is not the time to be faint-hearted. Hridaya Daurballam.
yeah. That's Hridaya Daurbalyam is, not the weak heart or weakness. How does it apply to me? I mean, I have to tell myself, Uttiṣṭha, sometimes I don't feel like going to gym or going to do exercise or going to do walking. It feels so nice to just lie down and pull your comforter and just slip away. So even simple parts of life, this message can be helpful.
I think that is not a slip with double E's, S-L-I-P. that is easily we can slip and we help ourselves to slip.
Yeah.
That very,
That
very
is the
important.
beginning of the slippery slope, right?
Exactly.
But it's also a message for a community. I mean, I think this Uttiṣṭha Jagrata or Uttiṣṭha Parantapa, I mean, this should be a kind of a major message for everybody and anywhere. And yes, once it's not like to create a kind of chaos. I mean, you want to do something, something constructive or positive. Krishna is not asking Arjun to do something negative, So it's not to be taken in a negative sense. I just want to make sure that Uttiṣṭha Jagrata is for positive, is a positive message, right?
Absolutely. Because he uses the word paramtapa.
Yeah.
You are meant for good deeds. Okay? So, great deeds. So, get up,
Yeah.
rise on your feet, and achieve it.
Prapya, that's the Kathopanishad. I'm mixing this Gita with that because this is it's the same message given by Krishna here, given by Yamaraj there. But it's a message for not just for Nachiketa or Arjun, but for all of us.
Exactly.
So, yeah, Uttiṣṭha Jagrata, not as a troublemaker, but as a positive contributor to the society, to yourself, and to the surrounding. I mean, it's like whatever you do affects not just you, society, but also, it's like J. Krishnamurti used to say that, there is a pool of consciousness, and what do you want to throw in that pool? Do you want to throw garbage or do you want to throw some positive things there?
I think it is somehow, I shouldn't say somehow, it is actually a call of awakening of an individual and a society. And if we view like that, then the message of this verse become very relevant to all of us.
No, that message, of course, is a very resounding message, but it's the whole approach, it's like Arjun is like sinking and in emotions, of course, and he's centered in the heart rather than, he's not using his head. And all his attachments and everything else is clinging onto those relationships that is going to be shattered anyway. I think this is a big jolt. I think after all the waiting and patience, Krishna gives him a real shock. I don't think he would have expected a reply. He probably would have expected a sympathetic reply. Oh, Arjun, how nice of you to feel that way. It didn't happen, right?
Yeah, it was a very bitter pill coated with compassion. And that's important.
A bitter pill. Yeah, I mean, a doctor can think of bitter pill or bitter injection, right? But no, you're right. I mean, it is definitely his first response is bitter. Of course, it really gets deeper and deeper as we go further. But the first response is, it's like, come on, Arjun, what are you thinking? Where did this come from? It definitely doesn't kind of suit your personality. And know your personality. Just think about again and get out of that where you are. I mean, that is one of the things I always learned in my life, and whenever you get emotional and all that, somehow when you are in that emotion, you feel all kind of, circled up and it's like immersed into it. The only way is to get out of it, because if you are there, your brain, your mind, and everything keeps supporting that, you being in that space.
Look at his sentence. It's very important. Okay. You are being faint-hearted.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are being faint-hearted. That's what Krishna says.
Yeah, you are faint-hearted. Okay. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But then, in that sharp word, there is also a very positive word.
Parantapa.
You are meant for great deeds.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the essence of the teaching. It just doesn't belittle him.
No, it doesn't. He never belittles Arjun. You're right. Yeah.
And that statement is very important.
Yeah, he doesn't beat him up with words, but he uses strong words, but
Yes,
at the same time he also uses some positive words for him, so
I
that
like
he's still open to listening to Krishna. Yeah.
I like the verse because of that.
No,
Okay,
that's
his criticism is compassionate criticism, a very constructive critic.
he is very constructive, at the same time a clear message.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's I'll come back to that clarity that, when you know this stuff well, and when you can also know your friend well, I mean, he knows Arjun well as well. I mean, he knows that Arjun can be emotional. He must have known it because it's been a long association. And he can read, he can see what's going on in his mind. And then he can be appropriately, it's like most of us in a medical college, we were there, 7 years almost? I mean, with 5 years plus, a few years of residency or internship. We kind of knew each other. I mean, so the same way, Krishna must have known Arjun very well, and he probably has seen some of these reactions and some of his heart, how his heart behaves. So he understands that. So every word he uses are chosen it's like weighted words.
It is also important that we in our life have many, many acquaintances.
Yeah.
However, only few of them are who are our critic, yet very compassionate towards us. And to have that kind of friend is important in our life because they take you towards progression or uplift you.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. Okay. So Krishna is the charioteer, he's guiding the chariot, and at the same time Arjun.
Yeah, it's interesting about the friendship and friendship part, so in our life, and again, I was talking to George Manning, and that was yesterday, and he says that you are an average of 5 of your best friends. So that is what your personality is. So to have a friend like Krishna is, you don't need 5 friends after that. Because even if you are average of 2, you will be at a different level. I think we can end this one here because that is perfect ending. A friendship, and Krishna and Arjuna are friends, and average of 5 friends with a friend like Krishna, who cares? And next time we will go with the verse 4 and talk about a little bit about Bhishma and Drona, because they form a big part of Mahabharata, and they come into picture in those shlokas.
धर्म क्षेत्र और कुरुक्षेत्र में मन को मोह का शूल